Hello, everyone, and welcome into ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodríguez. Tonight, we will talk about the bomb going around the NFL this Wednesday night because Deebo Samuel reportedly asked for a trade. He liked a tweet about joining the Cowboys, of course. We'll get into that. Don't get your hopes up. That would be my first thought. And then we'll talk a little bit about CeeDee Lamb and an overblown stat out there. It's Wednesday night, so that means we will have one cool thing as we do every week on Wednesdays. I'm excited about tonight's show. I hope that you're having a great Wednesday night, guys. Thank you for tuning into the show. Make sure that, as always, you hit the like button, share the show. If you are new around here, consider subscribing. But every like allows us to put this show in front of more Cowboys fans as we head into the NFL draft, which is 8 days away. A week from now, we will have one sleep to go before the first round of the NFL draft. And I don't want to give it away yet. But we should have a special show on Wednesday night, the night before the NFL draft. A little bit of a different format, maybe if all goes to plan. So that will be fun to share with you for sure. Welcome, everyone. Let me shout out some people in YouTube, some in Facebook. Charlene Evans, Toxic Tom. Toxic Tom had a prediction that was wrong from what I can see. He said, Mo's eyes are going to be bloodshot, I bet. Well, no, they're not bloodshot, but I know what you mean. I looked at the calendar today. Garnett saying, let's make a splash, get Deebo. We'll talk about the Deebo Samuel thing in a few moments here on the show. What is up, Lumen? Thank you for joining the show. Michael, Greg, over at Facebook. Shout out to Nicholas, Ricky, Joey. Thank you for being here, guys. Let's get this one started. Guys. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome into ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodríguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. With a lot more content coming your way throughout the entire offseason, check out adcsports.com/Dallas and Primetime. As always, brought to you by our friends over at freemanhyundai.com. We will talk more about them and the ride of the week in a few moments here on the show. Before we get to all of that, make sure you hit the like button, share the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, let your friends know about ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. Every like allows us to put this show in front of more Cowboys fans. And also shout out to the podcast audience. Tonight on the show, we will talk about Deebo Samuel shaking up the wide receiver market in the NFL, because it turns out, and this one was a surprising one across the NFL. We've heard the rumors, we have heard the whispers around San Francisco that maybe the 49ers and Deebo were not fully on the same page. We had the whole social media dance between Deebo and the Niners, in which he deleted the posts, he unfollowed the Niners, and all of this drama that has become somewhat of a weird norm in the NFL when it comes to negotiating big-time contracts. But we have seen this happen before and not really turn into a big issue. So at least from my perspective, when all of these social media rumors about Deebo Samuel were coming out a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, I really didn't put too much stock into it. And then a week later, Jeff Darlington from ESPN reports that Deebo Samuel is requesting a trade. Now, how did we get here? And maybe this is a question that concerns 49ers fans specifically, as opposed to the rest of the league. But it's interesting because it's not only a financial battle, which has become what we're used to in the NFL. In contrast, the Deebo Samuel situation also includes the fact that Deebo Samuel has not been ecstatic about his role with the team. What you probably love about the way the Niners use Deebo Samuel, that's exactly what Deebo Samuel has an issue with, according to multiple reports. Because it turns out that Deebo maybe is not super happy about playing at running back as much as Kyle Shanahan had him play at running back in 2021, which was a little bit surprising to me because I would have imagined that Deebo Samuel loved that part of his own game because it's truly what separates him from the rest of the NFL. Now, make no mistake about it. I'm not saying that Deebo Samuel was only good because of that versatility and the way that Shanahan used him, but it sure as heck felt like that was his differentiator. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't you agree with that? I would say that what made Deebo Samuel special was the way that he could go into the backfield and not only run a route from the backfield, messing with the whole defensive structure of the defense, but the fact that it worked because the Niners could actually hand it off to him and he could run between the tackles and move the sticks. I think he has the talent and the skills to be a very good receiver beyond those kind of, I don't want to say gimmick plays, but that running back role that they gave him with San Francisco. But it definitely felt like that's what made him special. So it turns out that that might be one of the biggest reasons why Deebo Samuel right now is not happy about his standing with the 49ers. And then Cowboys fans, you know, I allow 5 minutes of fantasy land in which you can imagine Deebo Samuel with the Cowboys. 5 minutes only. That's what I said on Twitter. You can follow me at MauNFL. That's MAU NFL. Because Deebo Samuel actually liked this tweet. And this is from Shane underscore 2104, in which he just tweeted out a photo edit with Deebo Samuel and CeeDee Lamb wearing the navy and silver and the star on the helmet. So that created a conversation in Cowboys Nation about about Deebo Samuel potentially joining the Cowboys. Now, I'm not going to lie. I also like the tweet. Deebo Samuel was not the only one to like it. Because I would love to see Deebo Samuel with the Cowboys. He's a tremendous playmaker. I would love to see him rack up those yards after catch while wearing the star. But we need to be fair here. This isn't happening. And I believe Cowboys Nation knows that by now. And it isn't happening for a variety of reasons. It's not happening because the Cowboys, first and foremost, do not even have the trade capital to actually go get him because the 49ers still have Deebo Samuel under contract. There's no reason for the Niners to not stick around with Deebo Samuel when he is coming off from a breakout season in which he averaged over 18 yards per reception, plus what he did in the ground game. I believe he averaged over 6 yards per carry in the running game. So if someone wants to come and get Deebo Samuel, they will need to put together a very rich compensation to convince the 49ers to move on from Deebo. Because Deebo can use his leverage. Maybe he can miss some workouts. Maybe he can make some noise in the offseason. Maybe he can tie his name with the Cowboys like he is by liking this tweet and other NFL teams. But he's still under contract for 2022. Now, Bruce got the toxic use, says in YouTube, Mo, supposedly Dallas made an offer. Personally, I have not seen that from any sort of reliable source. I think I've seen some posts from some fan accounts, like, for example, I have a friend of mine, one of my closest friends, who is a Colts fan, and he's fantasizing right now about having him in Indianapolis. And actually, I was looking for the post that he sent. Oh, yeah, it's still up. I thought that it was already deleted. And it said, according to Bet Online, the Colts had the best odds to land the 49ers, which is something. And I would assume it's after the 49ers. But yeah, some of these fan accounts maybe are posting that the Cowboys made an offer. I have not seen it from a reliable source. If I missed it, of course, make sure that you tell me in the YouTube chat or the Facebook chat if a legit reporter actually talked about this. Not giving up our first and second for Deebo, which is says Jason in YouTube, which I would say it's maybe what it would take at least, because some teams are maybe in a position to send a first rounder and a third rounder, but I would say you need a higher pick than 24th, and I would say that you probably would not have to be an NFC team. You probably would have to be on the other conference. Damon Davis says, hey, Mauricio, a first next year and a second and a third the following year. Second and third from 2023, the following year for Deebo. Your thoughts, but a Cowboy won't pull the trigger. I don't think that Cowboy would be the only one to not pull the trigger with this offer. I kind of think that maybe the 49ers also would not do it. I know this is a very nice compensation package that Damon is laying out in the YouTube chat. First, next year. Oh, no, wait. You're talking about a first next year, 2023, and then a second and a third from 2024. I don't think the Niners would do that. I think they would only move on from Deebo if someone puts a impressively high compensation package. You never know, though. You never know with these trades, because you never know what the plan is for the front office financially. Like, what is the highest the Niners would offer Deebo Samuel? Because if they deep down know that they will go to a higher number when they need to, when they have no other choice, maybe they don't move on. They don't move on from him. But if they know for a fact that we're not doing better than 20 million per year, and they know that today, then maybe you're listening to these trade offers a little bit more carefully, and maybe you're paying a little bit more attention. Trade the Amari fifth to Samuel Rowe. You know, you look at this wide receiver market, and it's going crazy. Receivers are getting paid over 20 million per year now. Look at the trade rate for Tyreek Hill, for example, for Devontae Adams. And the Cowboys are still looking like they messed the Amari Cooper thing up, to be honest. Because a fifth rounder for Amari, when he had a relatively bargain of a contract, man, they did not got out of that one on a good spot. It has not aged well for the Cowboys, to be honest. Dallas acting like they are the Rays with scouting and player development, says Toxic Tom. Samuel says, we trade a Pro Bowl receiver for a fifth. And I know we want to move on, but it's difficult not to look back on that moment with an offseason that has been so heavy on the wide receiver side of things. And an offseason that also includes multiple talented wide receivers in the NFL draft. So yeah, I would say there's no way that the Cowboys are really involved in the Deebo Samuel conversation. I had someone, Cole Patterson, sent me this tweet from Theo Ash that said, and it's a joke, of course, sources close to Deebo Samuel are saying he's waiting to see where Baker Mayfield ends up before settling on a trade location. The star wideout wants his usage rate to go down and feels that he and Mayfield would be a good match. That was a very good tweet. Cowboys Corner, thank you for being here in the chat. Kenneth Fraser says Amari Cooper should have been a third-round pick. At the very least, I honestly thought that the Cowboys were going to do significantly better than a third-rounder when they started to say that they were going to trade him. They should have made they should have, says Jason, they should have made them give up on a first round pick for Cooper. Man, because that was a good deal. I think that was the most attractive thing about Amari Cooper if you were aiming to buy his talents as in another team. But anyways, The Athletic put together a list of teams that could actually make a little bit more sense for Deebo Samuel if the 49ers are really to trade him. And they outline two NFC teams. They outline the Texans, the Chiefs, and some others in the AFC side of things. But The Athletic outlined the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles as potential trade partners with the 49ers for Deebo Samuel, which makes sense because, one, the Packers have 2 picks towards the end of the first round, and they also have a lot of picks in day 2 and day 3 that they can work with, and the Packers do need a wide receiver after moving on from Davante Adams. Now, the Eagles have as well multiple picks in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft, and they also need a wide receiver. So this got my imagination going, and here's the question from me to you guys. As a Dallas Cowboys fan, which of these NFC teams would you rather have Deebo on? The Packers, the Eagles, or would you rather have him stay at the 49ers? As a Cowboy fan, it's a complicated decision in my opinion, because if you send him to the Eagles, like if he is sent to the Eagles as a Cowboys fan, you know you need to face him twice. But if he's gone to the Packers and the Cowboys make the playoffs, you might be thinking about that potential matchup in January that you don't want to face. So that's the question. As a Cowboys fan, which of these NFC teams would you rather have Deebo on? Packers, Eagles, or 49ers? Let me know your answers in the chat. And while you do so, and before I give you mine, let me talk to you about our friends over at FreemanHyundai.com, because the ride of the week, and we're getting close to the end of the week, is the Hyundai Elantra. Starting price, $21,990, which is pretty incredible. $21,990 only for the 2022 Hyundai Elantra that has a miles per gallon capacity of 33 miles per gallon in the city, goes up to 43 in the highway. It comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a backup camera, and of course, lane keeping assist. Game-changing features on the 2022 Hyundai Elantra. You can check out this and more vehicles over at FreemanHyundai.com. Family-owned business for over 65 years. You're getting A-plus customer service and a wide selection of new Hyundai vehicles. So you can check that out over at the FreemanHyundai.com website. Let's see some of your answers here, because it was a good question that popped into my mind. Bruce says the 49ers. Samuel says the Eagles. They will not use him anyway. Charlene says none. Send him to the AFC. That could be the ideal scenario. I agree. Michael says Eagles because they don't have a quarterback. Gregory says the Packers. Cowboys corner says send him to the Packers. Joe from Italy says at Packers. Nicholas says Packers. I'd rather play him without Cal Shanahan. I will say, Primetime Field says, if the 49ers did trade him, you really think it will be an NFC team? Please, says Primetime Field. Well, hey, let's not act like this doesn't happen, though. I would agree that it's more likely for any team to trade a star player like this to the other conference, but it does happen. It does happen. Didn't Houston just traded none other than Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns? Have we not seen divisional trades take place? Have we not seen, for example, and I know maybe it's not the same tier of wide receivers, but Devonta Parker going from the Patriots, from the Miami Dolphins to the New England Patriots. So, hey, it could definitely happen. I agree that it's not the most likely outcome, but let's not rule that out. Now, my answer would be the 49ers. Between those three teams that The Athletic outlined as candidates for Deebo Samuel, I would say that as a Cowboys follower, I would rather have him with the 49ers because at least you're playing with the risk that the Trey Lance project does not work out for them. Now, I'm high on Trey Lance. I think he will have a pretty good career if things work out for him in the pocket as well for the 49ers. Oh, Cabrera is at the plate for the Detroit Tigers. He's one hit away from his 3,000th career hit, by the way. Just caught it from the corner of my eye. But I would much rather have him in the 49ers just because I'm not as sure that they're going to be back in the playoffs as soon as 2022 as I am about the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers still on board. Jamal says, we need Deebo. James, I'm not going to lie. I would love to see Deebo Samuel in Dallas. I just cannot see it happening, to be honest. Now, another reason why it's unlikely to happen for the Cowboys is, of course, CeeDee Lamb. Because, guys, at this rates that we're seeing in the market, unless you're one of those super aggressive teams in the NFL, you're not likely to have two wide receivers in your roster to whom you're paying top dollar. And the Cowboys are clearly aiming for a CeeDee Lamb extension down the road. They believe in CeeDee Lamb. And on a similar note, someone put out an interesting tweet about what has become the biggest concern for Cowboys Nation, maybe regarding CeeDee Lamb, which is the drops. Before we get to the tweet, let me gauge your opinion on this matter. Truth or false? Wide receiver drops in the NFL are an overrated stat. Would you say truth or false to that statement? Wide receiver drops are an overrated stat. Unless you're an uber aggressive team, what I was saying earlier in terms of the salary cap, I would say you're not going to pay top dollar to two wide receivers. That in this case would be CeeDee Lamb and, of course, Deebo Samuel. Because when the time comes to pay CeeDee Lamb, you're going to have outs with the Michael Gallup contract. So here we go. Truth or false, wide receiver drops are an overrated stat. Kenneth says true. Samuel Rose says false. Primetime Field goes with false. The majority answer so far is going with false. Jason over at Facebook says true. Damon Davis is false. Primetime Phil says it's not calculated correctly, which I say it's maybe a fair statement. Damon Davis goes with false. Joey Bella goes with true. Nicholas goes with false. I will go with false. And I will go with true, excuse me. I think it's an important stat, but after looking at this tweet, I have a very tough time telling you that it's not an overrated stat. Look at the players that were in the top 10 in drops last year, according to Pro Football Focus. Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp. Do you guys see the trend here? These are top wide receivers in the NFL. So it might be an important, relevant stat. But if you're a Cowboys fan, I believe you got to feel good about this. Not about the fact that CeeDee Lamb is top 10 in drops, but at the fact that it clearly is not an indicator of how good you are. Because look at the players that led the league in drops. These are some of the baddest men catching passes in the NFL. Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase. That's what you want from a wide receiver. So if that is one of the biggest concerns for CeeDee Lamb as he tries to step up and become the Cowboys' number one wide receiver, well, then I feel pretty good about that being the number one concern for CeeDee Lamb. Keep KP Show, who is a writer over at NinersNation.com, tweeted out this stat and said drops are one of the most overrated stats that come without context. And I will tell you what, I tend to agree with that statement. Michael says all young ones, room for improvement in that area. I also would like to shout out to Michael because that's also true. It's not like sometimes we act like these young wide receivers have been in the league like 5 seasons or 6 seasons, and CeeDee Lamb is just in his second year in the league. Our drops are blamed on Dak. So unfair, says Sugar Daddy Williams. Toxic Tom says, need to see what the catch percentage is. Simply saying drops is very vague. That's also true. Depends on the target amounts, as Primetime Field also pointed out. Joe says, it's not the drops that worries me. That CeeDee drops passes on very important third down situations. Bad timing on those drops. QB wins is more relevant, says Bruce got the toxic use. Hey, QB wins might be one of the perhaps the most overrated stat in the NFL. I also like to point towards strength of schedule, because I agree that strength of schedule is one of those stats that people like to throw around, and I believe they're interesting to look at more than anything in the preseason when you are trying to determine how tough is the schedule for any given team. Yet, if you lose to a winning team in week 3, and then they get a lot of injuries, and in week 8, they're a completely different squad, that's where strength of schedule kind of gets messed up a little bit for me. I don't think that teams are the same team over the course of an entire NFL season. That's just me, though. QB wins is the worst stat ever, says Toxic Tom. Well, guys, before we get out of here, it's Wednesday night, so that means one cool thing, and I might cheat tonight because I do have multiple one cool things here on this Wednesday. So for those of you who are new to the show, every Wednesday we have this segment in which everyone can share a one cool thing of their week. It can be something personal, something sports related, non-sports related, professional, whatever you want it to be. What is your one cool thing of the week? I have a few this time around. Number one is the simple fact that we are 1 week away from the NFL draft, and we will have you covered here at ADC Sports Dallas on that front. On Thursday night, you will get Skywalker Still covering day 1 of the NFL draft with the Cowboys, with the 24th overall pick in specific. And then day 2, I will be hopping up on with Skywalker Still. We will be joining forces to cover the 2nd round and the 3rd round of the NFL draft. And then in day 3, there will also be content on the channel for you guys to enjoy. What is your one cool thing of the week? Bruno. Bruno over at Facebook shared the date, basically. You guys know what that means. Michael says, Luka may play game 3, and I am getting boneless wings for the draft. 2 major wins for Michael in the same comment. But man, it's amazing that Luka appears to be ready for game 3. We are crossing our fingers. Toxic Tom, the good news is that it was caught early, so can't spend the remainder of her life in comfort. Bittersweet news maybe, Toxic Tom, but I'm glad that she will be able to live the remainder of her life in comfort, man. Joe Mesa says, one cool thing. I went to my first baseball team last game. Reds versus Dodgers. Dodgers with the win. Night game, great first experience. And it was Jackie Robinson Day. Joe, that is amazing. That is indeed a one cool thing. Jackie Robinson Day is one of my favorite days in the calendar year for sports. I really love watching all of the players wearing that 42. Pretty meaningful. Jason says, my one cool thing is that I'm going men's retreat with my church family. Indeed, a one cool thing. I was able to get a very great dog, a forever home today, says Kenneth Fraser. That's awesome. The Dodgers are in first place where they belong, says Gregory. Boneless is not a wing, says Eminem. Hey, we've had this discussion here. Boneless wings should not be illegal. I'm going to block Toxic Tom after that one comment. Oh, Damon Davis, that's random, but that's pretty cool. I heard that I'm related to Jackie Robinson. What? That's pretty random, but that's cool. My other one cool thing is that next Wednesday night, Primetime there will be somewhat of a special edition of ADC Sports Dallas Primetime if all goes to plan. Different format, but I think you guys will enjoy it a lot on the night before the NFL draft. That's maybe just a bit of a tease there, but hey, stay tuned for that. And I will see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share the show. Every like allows us to put this show in front of more Cowboys fans as we continue to grow the ADC Sports Dallas community. Big says, if we don't like the format, then we riot. I will see you tomorrow night. Primetime, as always, brought to you by our friends over at FreemanHyundai.com. Hope that you guys have a great Wednesday night. I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central. Thank you, guys.